What is going on, FA Nation? John Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS Game Day Playbook Preview Show. We're looking at the Thursday 5-game main slate starting at 6:40 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to go position by position to break it all down for you. We appreciate all of you that are tuning in. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. It's a free way to support the work we do here over at Fantasy Alarm. James, my buddy, 5 games, but there's some rain symbols on DraftKings now. 3 of the games up in the north here: Cleveland, Detroit, Chicago, possibly dealing with some wet weather. 6:40 p.m. Eastern Time starting here, so we gotta pay attention to roster lock for a couple of those games. Now I'm looking at the hourly forecast for Cleveland currently, and it doesn't look like there's really a lot of rain to start. It's more so it picks up throughout the evening. So that's Cleveland. Let's see Detroit now. Detroit, if I could spell it correctly, I would have had it up by now. Spelling not always my strong suit. Hourly for Detroit. Thursday. So the same thing with Detroit. It looks like more so rain coming later on in the evening. And then we have Chicago here. I liked it a lot easier when we have this weather information from an actual weatherman to read off of. All right, so the Chicago game is definitely far more ominous. St. Louis, Chicago, we're looking at scattered thunderstorms starting around 3 o'clock and then actual thunderstorms throughout the night around 50 to 65%. So that game could be the more dangerous of them. Now, if the weather systems happen to move up earlier in Cleveland and Detroit, then those thunderstorms also hit during game time. Right now, they're really looking to come around the 9 to 10 p.m. range. So more so towards the end of these games with them starting at 6:40. But those 3 games, as we're currently recording here on Wednesday evening, are the ones that we have to pay attention to, which is obviously troublesome on a 5-game slate, because if we get it knocked down to anything smaller, we're basically playing showdown. So keep that all into perspective. We'll be back live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, assuming these games don't get postponed, to kind of give you some more additional insights on the weather. But getting into it, the game that has the highest odds of maybe not playing has the top 2 price starting pitchers on it, and Sonny Gray and Shota Imanaga, $98 and $9,600. Seth Lugo against Detroit, $94. Charlie Morton, $8,800 against Miami. And then Ben Lively going up against Baltimore at $8K. Those are your top 5 priced starting pitchers. Where do you want to start things off here?
I'm good with Sonny Gray. The pitch count's been fine lately. Results have not been. He's struggling.
Kind of sucks.
Yeah, he's definitely struggled. I would say the thing that's keeping him afloat has been the strikeouts. The strikeouts have been super consistent.
Yeah.
That's about it. A lot of hits, a lot of base runners. So, I'm okay with Gray, but 9,800. Shota, there's a ceiling. There's also a pretty low floor. He's very inconsistent with the strikeouts. I mean, he has 10 strikeouts and 3 strikeouts his last 2 games. That's largely been his MO for most of the year, where the strikeouts have just been teetering around 1 per 9, and then it dips. I think Seth Lugo has a pretty good matchup, although he's been roughed up in 2 of his last 3 starts. Granted, one was against the Red Sox. That, just chalk that one up and throw that one away. And the Tigers have obviously been better, but there's a lot of win equity that comes with this game.
Yeah, he tossed 7 shutout innings against them earlier this year with 9 Ks. So
I would say that it's a different Detroit offense than it was earlier in the year.
Yeah, Colt Keith's actually good now,
But the only thing is they did lose Riley Green. So where they've been better, they also lost Riley Green, and they also lost their second best hitter in Javier Baez, who's been really good, and he was placed on the emergency list. We'll see if he's. Oh crap! I'm not talking about 2017.
I was going to say, Javier Baez the other day struck out on a pitch where the opposing catcher basically set up in the dugout, and he still swung. So
he also homered in 3 straight games before.
I know. Wildlife there. Not going to go Lively against Baltimore. What do we do in Miami here? They got the Taj Bradley. They got the Jeffrey Springs. They're not supposed to be good. They traded away their whole team, and yet Jonah Bride is homering. The Burger Man's still doing. Xavier Edwards is the best player in the league all of a sudden. Like, are we confident in Charlie Morton? Like, what do we do here?
No. I mean, like, sans the Miami thing, like, if we just removed Miami from the equation, I feel like we'd have issues with Charlie Morton to begin with. It's been very up and down with Charlie Morton a lot of this year. So, like, you might get Charlie Morton where he's untouchable. You might get Charlie Morton who looks like the 40-year-old pitcher that he is, right? I feel like sometimes we forget that he's 40 because he had such a late career resurgence. I am fine with Morton, but I think the field will like him more than you and I do because, it's Miami. They must suck, right? They traded everybody.
Well, opposite of him in that one, we have Max Meyer. Now, he only threw four innings, but they let him go 85 pitches against Milwaukee. So I got to assume had he been more efficient with his innings, 85 pitches should get him a little bit deeper into a game than just 4 innings here. So super talented kid, shut down the early version of Atlanta and back in April. What are your thoughts here? $7,500.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's obviously intriguing. He is really good, or potentially be really good. The Braves have not been really good. They also do have bats waking up. Matt Olson and Travis d'Arnaud both double-donged, both went back-to-back twice on the Wednesday slate. Those are 2, like, critical bats. I mean, Olson specifically, critical to their success against righties. That's now 4 home runs for Olson over his last 5 games. Like, that's obviously there's something to be said there with the guy who's hit 52 home runs in a season. So I like the spot for Meyer. I'm not, like, necessarily shying away from a spot that you and I have talked about for 2 straight months. Like, play righties against Atlanta, play righties against Atlanta. There's a ceiling, there's a ceiling, there's a ceiling. Also, it's okay to mention that there are some bats waking up in Atlanta, and that's a little bit scary when those bats are like Ozuna, Olson in the middle of that lineup.
Yeah, no, for sure not. What do we do with Trevor Rogers making his debut here for Baltimore? Got off to a really, really, like, slow start to the year, but he's been better-ish of late. Now he has the win equity behind him in Baltimore. Cleveland is obviously not a team that strikes out. It is a team that is also a bit lefty heavy, but they also have Jose Ramirez that hits lefties really well, and they added Lane Thomas who hits lefties really well. So where are you with Trevor Rogers here?
Yeah, it's a spot that I'm largely avoiding. I'm okay using righties against Cleveland. They have not been good against right-handed pitching. They are really potent against lefties. I mean, you mentioned Ramirez, you mentioned Lane Thomas. David Fry is a guy that we've talked about all year long that has crushed left-handed pitching. John Nesky, or what is it? Jahan Kenzie?
John Kenzie. I just say Johnsky, but it's
John Kenzie Noel. Tons of power against left-handed pitching.
My only reason for bringing it up is on the season, 100% correct. They've been really good against lefties. The last month, they haven't been. 25th in WOBA against left-handed pitching. Isolated power numbers, 19th. Batting average against lefties, 24th. They don't strike out still. They never strike out. It's 19%. But obviously, like I said, you add in a guy like Lane Thomas who hits over 300 against lefties. It bolsters that lineup. They can now take out some of those, like, weaker lefty bats that they kind of have to put in there. But, Kwan's a lefty, Naylor's a lefty. Some of their better, more core hitters in that lineup are also from the left side. I'm fine fading this spot. I just wanted to mention it because it is his debut with Baltimore, and they do obviously have the offense of Baltimore behind them here. And there isn't really a lot of other pitchers like Carson Fulmer, Ryan Feltner, I guess, on the road. He's got 2 runs less than he is when he's in Coors. Still got the Angels matchup here. Would you take another dart? We were in on Kyle Freeland on the Wednesday slate.
Yeah, I'm good with actually both pitchers in this game. I think Fulmer has been serviceable. The strikeouts are a little wishy-washy, but he's looked pretty good in 2 starts against Oakland, and we know how good Oakland's been in the last month. So I'm not necessarily shying away from the matchup here against Colorado, who's been terrible on the road. And conversely, Feltner's been good on the road. So yeah, I'm interested here. I mean, Feltner's been really good lately. 5 straight starts of double-digit fantasy points. He's $6,000, and yeah, I'm good with Feltner for sure.
Okay. Moving on over to the catcher position here. You mentioned obviously Fry versus lefties. He is $4,500 here. Adley in a strong split, 56 if you want to move up. You mentioned d'Arnaud, Furman homer tonight. We've been playing a lot of him at 33. Any other notable matchups you want to take advantage of here?
Any other matchups? Maybe if you're fading Lugo and based on his last, maybe Dylan Dingler, who got called up for he's a righty, but he had 17 home runs at AAA this year. So Dingler for 2,400 made his debut. Big debut for him. Maybe I'd punt with Dingler.
Sure. First base brings us Matt Olson, as you mentioned, obviously on an absolute tear right now. Pasquantino finally got the power out of him here today as well. Two guys I think both of us would be looking at the top tier.
Yeah, I think those would be the first two guys I'd go to. Kiter Montero, although misses bats like in terms of strikeouts, has had a home run problem. Kiter Montero has made 6 starts, has 7 appearances, and has allowed 10 home runs. So I'm going right back to the Kansas City lefties against Kiter Montero haven't been as good as righties, but still 1.7 home runs per 9 for lefties. So love Pasquantino, Olson on the power surge for sure. They're the top 2 names with the bullet for
sure. Sure. Working our way into the mid tier. Any notable matchups we'd be looking to take advantage of? I mean, for me, if you think Sonny Gray's got something wrong with him, Michael Busch, power from the left side at $3,900. Isaac Paredes is $45. Again, better against lefties and righties, but a lot of power in that bat for him there. Jake Berger, homer today off Taj Bradley. You got him against Morton at $3,500. You mentioned John C. Noel, $3,300. So definitely some value dart throws you can play.
Yeah, I'd the only other name of that tier, Bly Madris for Detroit, $2,300 would be someone that is hitting in like the middle of their lineup, just given their injuries. He has gotten called up and he's been fine. That's the only other name I would throw in there.
Over at second base here, Westberg, fractured hand. Not calling up Kobe Mayo. Calling up Livan Soto. They just won't call up Mayo. They're just going to let him marinate down there at AAA while everybody else gets called up.
Come on, bro. I know you don't eat mayo, but mayo doesn't marinate.
I don't. Anyways, we lost my train of thought. You have both Royals plays here, Garcia and Massey, as options for us. Colt Keith, 36. Jackson Holiday, 3K.
Yeah, I mean, I think off the bat, the Maikel Garcia play stands out because he was back in the leadoff position on Wednesday, and he had a good game out of the leadoff spot. With Kiter Montero, righties have done the damage. 3.5 home runs per 9 innings, 298 BABIP, which is kind of even lucky. 785 FIP, 541 xFIP. Righties are hitting 308. Righties are hitting 308 with a 298 BABIP against Kiter Montero. So things could get even worse for him for a guy allowing over 3 home runs per 9 innings to righties. So I think Garcia stands out. If Massey leads off, like I'm good getting there. You mentioned Cole Keith and you mentioned Jackson Holiday. Like Ben Lively, do you think Ben Lively, like the run ever stops? Do you think he's gonna like ever? Because like there's regression. I mean, his ERA is about a run higher than some of the sabermetrics. His BABIP 2.64. He's just like has never been a good pitcher.
Yeah.
So much so where he gets sent to KBO and he's 32 years old. Like righties have done all the damage against him, which I think plays against Holiday, but like there's obviously it's hard to just like pinpoint righties. Like they're all lefties, especially with Westbrook out. They're all lefties in this lineup. So if you want to play Jackson Holiday, I mean,
he's got a 2-game hitting streak going. So
2-game hitting streak and well, you know, a long stretch in between
it counts.
long stretch in
It counts.
between. You're not wrong, but like obviously there's a long delay in between. But like nothing like hitting a ball out of a stadium to get you going.
Dude, I mean, it absolutely got served to him in a platter. Man's number one prospect in baseball, so don't let him get hot. Third base has Ramirez again. This is his strong split against lefties. 6K. On a smaller slate like this could very well be the top overall play. Yep. Obviously, we have other options that we'll go over on this slate as well, but he's there. If you're not spinning out for Ramirez, where are you going next?
I mean, Austin Riley, you can obviously play Rengifo in the worst end of his split. Feldner is bad against lefties if you want to go there. You can play Michael Garcia here. Big man, righty-lefty. I like that. DeYoung. I mean, dude, Kiner Montero's been so bad against righties, and Paul DeYoung has been so good against righties. I think it's reasonable to get to Paul DeYoung, $3,000. I think that's a pretty good value.
Yeah.
I didn't mention him at second, and we didn't mention him in general. Jonah Bride hit 4th for Miami, and not only hit 4th for Miami, homered off Tyler Bradley in his first at bat. If he's going to hit in the middle of the lineup, there has to be at least a little consideration.
The man has one career home. Well, he has 2 now, but he had 1 career homer going into today. He's not a cleanup hitter, and yet they have nobody else.
They have no one else, and I mean, like, well, I don't know how to like.
I have nothing to even really counter you, so it's just
if he's a $2,400 player. Do we need to get there? I don't know. Probably not, but
I don't want to.
We don't. I mean,
out of principle. Shortstop gives us Bobby Witt and Gunnar Henderson, 65 and 63.
These are good players.
No initial analysis needed. Mason Wynn versus a lefty. It is Shota, but obviously a good spot for him potentially there. Xavier Edwards, though, I think if you're going Jose Ramirez, it's because you're playing Xavier Edwards at shortstop here.
Yeah, I mean, he's been.
If it's not the stolen bases, it's the power, right? Like he had the homer the other day.
It's really everything. I mean, it's just a culmination of everything. He's just been good. He's driving in runs. He's scoring a bunch of runs. He's stealing bases. Like he is clearly deserving of a higher price tag than $4,000.
Agreed. Any other shortstops for you?
No, you can play DeYoung down here. That would be it.
Okay. Outfield gives us Ozuna, Bellinger, Kwan lefty. Santander hits everybody. Doyle's back and good, $5,200 for him. Lane Thomas kills lefties at $5K.
Yeah, I mean Ozuna. This is gonna be the first time I might play Braves against righties, if I can afford it. But $5,800 for Marcell Ozuna makes a lot of sense. Sonny Gray's bad split is against lefties, so you could definitely get to Bellinger if you want to play some Cubs. Santander's been amazing. Brent Doyle has really only been good at home.
Lane Thomas has some good BVP versus Rogers playing in the NL East against each other for a while.
Lane Thomas hits lefties really well overall. Definitely can play Lane Thomas because he hits lefties.
Couple of career homers off of him. I'm
out on Lane. I'm out. I'm just kidding. I mean, I play Lane Thomas against lefties. Yeah. They hit him second immediately. First game there. Welcome to the 2-hole, Lane.
Plug and play Colton Kaiser?
Dude, why not? He's going to lead off again. He's going to lead off. He's going to likely be productive. He's also likely going to strike out. And if he hits a home run, the crowd moves at him, which I found incredibly awesome.
I like it. Let's see. You got Kerstad there if he's in the lineup, or Mullins, some more value plays down here. They did say Eloy is going to DH for them. Not going to play the outfield. He's just going to DH. So
he's going to, if he'd break down if he did.
Get hurt right away. So he's only going to do it against lefties. So we're not really worried about him yet, but just know that when Eloy is in the lineup, it will be as a DH. Okay. Jesus Sanchez, 3,400.
Yeah, Jesus Sanchez.
A lot of power.
He's a really streaky also. He is like a very streaky player. I feel like he's always really good or really bad. Definitely like Sanchez 34 for home run upside. I would definitely play Hunter Renfroe against Connor Montero with all the home run upside. Connor Montero, again, 3.52 home runs per 9 innings against right-handed batters. And we know Hunter Renfroe has a ton of power.
Yep, a lot of power. Let's see. Anything
Johnsky,
else?
John
John
Kenzie. Tyler Freeman probably in the lineup against a lefty.
Pete Armstrong's 3K. Stowers hit third today.
I know, it's crazy. Yeah.
I don't really want to stack Miami, but I mean, like,
they're free. That's the
thing.
Sanchez,
Berger. I could get behind a Sowers, Sanchez, Berger because I actually think they're good players.
Hold on, Edwards. Wait, you said Edwards?
Edwards as well. But he's leading off. So I think you could. I don't envision like a long-term success there, but you know, Sowers has some power. We know that for sure. Coming from the minor leagues, that's kind of his calling card. We know Berger, all power. Yep. Sanchez, all power, and Xavier Edwards gets on and wreaks havoc on the base pass. So
he sure does.
If you want to go some Miami, I think those would be the bats that I would do it with.
Agreed.
That's probably it, though.
Same. Agreed.
All right, so the question is, are we doing Xavier Edwards or are we spinning up for Witt or Henderson?
We're playing Bobby Witt. I mean, like, I
had to ask.
3.5 home runs per 9 innings to righties, Kyler Montero. We're playing Bobby Witt.
Okay, just Renfroe there. Catcher? Do we just do Furman then?
Yeah, homered on.
Homered today?
Yeah, homered. Yeah.
Lugo and who?
Feltner? Or
4,300 to play here.
Feels good.
Second base, Jackson Holiday.
Is Salvi first base eligible here?
Probably.
He is. I would play all the Kansas City Royals today.
We made it work.
When a plan comes together.
Ramirez and Witt. Plan comes together. Lugo, Feltner, Furman, Perez, Holiday, Ramirez, Witt, Kauser, Renfroe, and Noel. A little mini Cleveland staff, Kansas City, Baltimore, Galore, Colorado, and Feltner and Lugo as our pitchers. Example lineups for everybody here. Again, we'll be back live 5 p.m. Eastern time unless the slate becomes a complete washout with postponements. But other than that, you can't expect to see us here. We'll update you all the latest lineup news and information. Until then, we'll see.